Right, grade 10s. Today we're going to be looking at page 10.5 to 10.8. Keep in mind that page 10.6 has basically the same exercise as 10.5, it's just repetition. Okay, so I'm just going to show you one example. So on page 10.5 on the left side, here we are given a window design. So we've got two fixed glass panels here. There's a slight frame going around with the window. Okay. And then the parts on the left and right side, okay, this broken line here indicates the swing of the door, or the window I mean. So the hinge would be here on the right side and the window would swing open towards you. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do the top view of a window, effectively a section. Okay, so imagine a floor plan, we have to draw in a window. How is it actually done? Now what's nice about it is we always draw the top view of the window symbolically. So it doesn't actually matter what design window we have, it doesn't matter if it's metal or wood, okay, it doesn't matter how many panels it has, all that matters here is the length of it, okay, and then the thickness of the wall. So obviously this wall here is normally 220, but it's drawn to scale. We don't even need the scale for this exercise. So the instructions actually say that draw a partial plan that will show the window in an external wall. So it's partial plan because only doing one window and nothing else. Okay, so all you have to basically do is take the length. Now normally in the exam you wouldn't have this above that because it would be part of a much bigger plan, but you would go to the diagram that I supply and you take that length and you mark it down. Okay, in this case we can just project it and you mark down the length on each side. Okay, like so. And then all you have to do is also to mark down the thickness of the wall. Okay. And then you have to know which side is inside or outside. So this is the inside, so this would be the outside of the building. So there would be your lawn, there would be your carpet. Okay. And the only rule here is that when you add the sill, you have to add a slight thickness to it. Now normally the window is never drawn this big. Okay. We're talking about a symbol for a window that is very, very small normally on a floor plan. Okay, and then the sill can just go over half or 1 millimeter. In this case I'm going to go over 2 just to keep it a bit more proportional. So for today's exercise, whenever you see the black pen, those are dark lines. Alright, so I'm just going to go and immediately add the sill as a solid line. Okay, now we don't actually know how thick the frame of the window is because we can't really assume that it is as wide as it is long here. Okay, so we can't see the side thickness, so I'm just going to make up a thickness there, and it's normally not square anyway, so I'm going to take roughly 1/3. So whenever you do the symbol, if you're not sure what the thickness of the window will be, just take about 1/3 of the wall and you take that across. That's it, guys. How easy is that, eh? So you just have the sill going over a little bit. In this case I went over by 2 millimeters just because it's so big here, and then you have about 1/3. Now please make sure that the frame of course is in the middle of the wall and not the middle of the sill, and it goes to the side, and then all you have to do is to add your hatching on the wall, of course. And we're done. See, not difficult at all. Like I said, the right side of page 10.5 and 10.6 is just a repeat of the exercise, and it doesn't matter what the window design is, the symbol is always drawn the same way. So next we're going to go to page 10.7. Right, grade 10s, the next exercise, they give us the front views of the doorway, and again there's the frame going around, so this would be the equivalent of, let's say, seeing it on a sectional view or a view that's been cut open. And here we can see the top views of the walls. Okay, so this is obviously the inside, okay, of the wall, and that's the outside. And they want us to draw this door symbolically in the top views. And please take note, these are two different doors. Okay, this is the outside door and this is the inside door. So this door is sitting on an inside wall, and this door is leading to the outside of the building. And there's a small slight change to them. Okay. So for practical reasons I'm going to start with the inside wall and do this one first. Right, so the only thing I actually need from the two front views here is the actual length there, okay, and the thickness. So for now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two thicknesses and we take it across to the top views. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm just going to complete the walls on each side, and that way I can get that out of the way. Right, so now you can see that the walls are actually done, and I can focus on adding the frame for the doorway. Going to the inside door first, I'm just going to add the slight rebate on each side that we're going to need, or the frame of the actual door, in order to fit the door inside. Alright, so to do the frame of the door, I'm basically just going to use the thickness that I've projected from my front views, and I'm going to divide it into a small block if we're halfway into the wall. Okay, so it's going to be very, very, very small, so you have to work very accurately here. Okay, you can see there that I've actually divided into half there. Okay, and then at the same time you also want to divide it in half the other way. So if I take my set square, we will actually have half of that distance cut out as well, and we want to add the rebate on this side and not on that side. Okay, you'll see what I mean now. Right, so if you look carefully, you can actually see the little rebate there. So there's the little rebate on the right side, and there's the little rebate on the left side. And of course now we have to decide on which side of the door hinge will actually be. Now if you're standing on the inside here, normally the hinge would be on the right to you, so we're going to put the door on this side. Okay, now to get the length of the door, all you have to do is to take the distance from that rebate, this line. Please don't take the wall, don't take that corner, take this line that you see here, and just take the distance to the opposite side of that rebate that you have there. So what I normally do is I take the distance with my divider or compass, and I can just mark it down. Alright, so you're going to take that distance from there to there. Okay, and then you're going to mark it down on this side. Right, now that we have the line, you also need to add a bit of thickness to it. So what I'll tell students, a door obviously has to fit in that rebate. So just take the same thickness that you have there, and you can add it to the door. But before I do that, what I normally do is I take the compass, because I do need the swing as well. So I put my compass down on that point, and I move it until I get it to the other rebate. Please test your compass first. Okay, so make sure that it's actually in the location where you have it or need it. So this is another method that some students can use to actually go and mark down or the length. So if you simply set your compass to that distance, you can actually swing it in. So I hope you can see the pencil. The pencil isn't picked up by the camera very well, but on the board it's very, very dark. And now you can actually just go and add a bit of thickness. Again, I'm just going to take the thickness that I have there in that rebate, and I'm going to add it to the door. Went over the line, don't know why I did that. That was silly of me. And then you just take your line and you go across. Okay. Now normally, because the symbol is a lot smaller, please just ignore that little bit that I went over there. Now if we compare the two doors, you'll see that besides, in order to draw the frame, I take exactly the same frame that I had here on the inside door. So it's exactly the same size, exactly the same shape, same rebate cutout, and you just transfer this over to the outer wall to get the same door frame here. Okay, and the same with this one, you just carry it over to this door frame there. Okay, the rest is drawn exactly the same, and one big difference is that with a door on an inner wall, okay, there shouldn't be any line. While we go to a door on if this is the outside, we go to a door that's on an outer wall or load-bearing wall, okay, there should be a line, because this line actually represents the difference between the inside of the building and the outside, or if you will, the difference between walking surfaces. So there could be, let's say, tiles here and concrete outside. Okay, And that's the only real difference besides the wall thickness between drawing a door with an inner wall and an outer wall. So we are done with this exercise, and we will now be going to page 10.8, the last mini exercise. Right, so in the previous exercise we were looking at a standard swinging door. This one we're going to be looking at a sliding door. So at the diagram here you can clearly see that an inner wall is quite narrow, and then we're going to have two thicknesses of 50 by 30. But now keep in mind that this isn't to scale yet. Okay, so this is the actual measurement in real life. So we have to use the scale to tell us that the scale is 1 to 25. So if I divide that 25 into each 50, and that means that will be 2, and that will be 2 as well, which means basically that the wall is more or less that as well. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Right, so first again I'm going to try and finish the walls before we actually go to the sliding door. Right, so now if I'm going to take my divider, and I'm just going to check the thickness of the wall here. So if I compare that on my ruler, then you'll see it's actually 5, and they've already told us that the sliding door should only be 4. So I'm going to carry that 4 over, so it will have a slight less thickness. Okay, and all you have to do there, you're going to leave this line, and then 0.5 millimeter out. You're going to draw the first line for your sliding door, and then do the same at the bottom. Right, so it's almost identical to the thickness of the wall, and then all you have to do is to add a line in the middle. Okay, and then you just take the center of the sliding, which is coming down here, and add that in the middle as well to separate the two sides of the sliding door, and our sliding door is done. And that's the symbol for sliding door. Remember, the design doesn't matter, we draw it symbolically. Okay, so let's quickly go to the sliding door for the outer wall, just to show you the difference. Alright, so basically the same thing, it's just slightly thicker. Right, now wall is complete. Please keep in mind the frame hasn't changed, it's still 4 millimeters. Okay, so you're going to have a larger rebate in the front and the back than 4, and all you're going to do is you're going to mark down your 2. Alright, so I'm just going to go here, and that's going to be basically the thickness of the door, and you're going to carry those 2 over to the left side. For now, just construction, just to test where it should be. You can do this dark straight away, because in the exam you want to save as much time as you can. I'm happy with the result, and I'm just going to go over and make it darker. Right, and then also a line in the middle. And then I'm going to take the vertical center from the door frame here, and I'm going to carry it over, draw a vertical line there. Now please take note, this is again an outside door. So in the previous exercise in doing swinging doors, the outside door should have a line separating inside and outside of the building. So this is the outside, but again that line should be a B line, in between dark and light. So just like with the hatching, I'm going to use green again, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a B line that will connect the 2 walls going to the outside, but you should not have this line here. Okay, and that's it guys, we are done. Have a great day.